Hey everybody, I hope you all are doing well and welcome back to Whiskey Wonders. And like most people here in the United States living under the heat dome, at least this summer, the wife and I, we decided to jump the Atlantic and enjoy some European lifestyle while under, the European heat dome. It's kind of like the American heat dome, but they got a beret and they're smoking cigarettes. But either way, before we got on the plane, we got a chance to stop by our local duty free here at LAX, and it really looked like Buffalo Trace Ferries have just made a huge drop in the duty free because there is a whole heap of allocated bourbons like Blanton's single barrels, as well as some Eagle Rare, all tax free, which, let's face it, really is the second best way to getting bourbon, just right below getting it at MSRP. So today we are doing our whiskey wander at the duty free at LAX, and we see some Blantons, we see some Eagle Rare, and actually we see a whole lot more. I think there's some Bookers floating around in there as well. Now, before we get to it, if you like these videos, if you like the wanders, if you like the hauls, if you like the reviews, if you like the unbottlings, the unboxings, and really all the amazing stuff that we got cooking up for you, don't forget to like and subscribe because it does really help the channel to grow, and we are so thankful for that. But also because you get updates when our newest videos come out on Sundays, when our shorts come out sort of randomly, and also when we have videos that come in between and there and above and around. All right, now let's get down to the video. All right, so for today, while we are getting warmed up, and hopefully you're getting warmed up, let's do a real quick whiskey check. And I think what I'm going to be enjoying is something I haven't really enjoyed for quite some time, which is the Ardbeg Wee Beastie. I think it's only 5 years. Yeah, Ardbeg Wee Beastie. All right, let's see if we can get it turned over here, get it situated on both sides. Oh, get a glass. All right, let's see if we can get a pop here. Hey, that one's pretty good. Let's get a little bit of juice. So beastie. Just wee beastie. All right, and to whiskey. Because really, let's face it, you can never drink too much whiskey. You can only just sort of drink it too fast. Cheers. Oh, that is definitely rambunctious. All right, so first up for today, and really much to our surprise, we came across a whole stash, perhaps even a hoard of whiskey that is highly sought after, that is revered, and really above average good bourbon, which is going to be this Blanton's single barrel. Now, the thing with Blanton's is that it is so hyped and so allocated that oftentimes you may see one, you may see two, or even a couple more in a store, maybe even a case, but oftentimes you only just see a couple of them. But you never really see it en masse like you do here at the duty free. I mean, I can only imagine these must have just been kind of dropped off considering how much they really had. It looks like a couple cases. Blanton's, at least the single barrels, were the very first single barrel bourbons that became available to the public back in the day when Buffalo Trace first rolled it out, in what would be a precursor to the whiskey boom that we are sort of starting to see cool down a little bit today. Blanton's is also known for its flair, especially considering that it comes in a very easily identifiable bottle that, what's there not to like about it, really? And they are becoming a little bit collectible, too, for a couple of reasons we'll get to here in a second. It is made from the Buffalo Trace Mash Bill number 2, the high rye line, which means that it has between, 12 to 15% rye mixed in with it. And it was named after one Buffalo Trace master distiller, Colonel Albert B. Blanton, not a colonel. And his story is actually pretty interesting because of the fact that he basically started in the mailroom at George T. Stagg's distillery and then has worked his way up over the years up to the very top spot at the distillery. So, I mean, I think that's pretty cool, and that's good enough reason for me to drink it for sure. And although I don't believe he was a real colonel, like I said before, he did lead Buffalo Trace successfully, I might add, through some of the most tumultuous times in the 20th century, really in that first half of the 20th century. Think about World War I, World War II, and Prohibition and all that kind of stuff. Now, one of my favorite things about Blanton's, besides all the provenance that comes with it, of course, is the fishnets. I just really like those. But also, like I said, you get all the kind of provenance that goes along with it that explains where the bottle came from, when it was poured, and what the guy's name was who poured it. So that's all very, very cool. And it kind of makes you feel special, like your bottle is unique over all the other ones that are out there. Now, that being said, what is not unique here at the LAX duty free is going to be the price. Because although they did have a lot, I think they had, if my count is right, I think they had like maybe like 3 cases. Because they only come in cases of 6 or 8. Let's see here. Yeah, they come in cases of 6. But the price here, even without the tax, is not going to be the best. In fact, it's really quite bad. Because we do see it here at the duty free at LAX for $108.00, which, of course, being from the United States, 00 cents is always very strange to see. But at $108, it is going to be at the tippy top of the market. Sure, there are going to be mom and pop liquor stores who are pricing it twice that, but I mean, those are just highway robbery prices. For any normal place that has any sort of humanity left in it, 108 is going to be kind of the high end range. Also, because of the fact that in the last 12 months, I mean, we've seen it at Costco for around $46.99. And even at Bevmo, I've seen it at $79.99, which means that if we did end up picking this Blanton's up at the duty free, which we did not, first we would have had to lug it around Europe, which I don't think would make it past Paris anyways. It'd just be a couple of days in. But also we'd have paid $60 more for it, or about 100% more than what we would have seen it at Costco. The ABV on it, on these ones, and as on all of them, is going to be at 46.5 or 46.5% ABV. Comes out to 93 proof. And again, that is going to be standard for the single barrel Blantons, unless you go up to the other ones or even go down to the other ones. So you have like the Takara, which is the Japanese market one that's only 40% ABV, all the way up to, this Blanton straight from the barrel, which is 60% plus, and also the most delicious in my opinion. Tasting notes on the Blantons are really specifically exactly what you would expect from a bourbon, because I think that Blanton's is kind of right down the middle. It is, in fact, the price setter for what bourbons at this level should really be. So it is the archetype, essentially. But it has strong vanilla, leather, oak, and you can definitely get some of that rye spice in there for sure, and not too much ABV. The ABV is pleasant, but it's only a second fiddle to a lot of the other flavors in the palate. So not that I would say it's super well balanced, but it is delicious. The review scores that you can find on it, as you imagine, again, would be quite good, and they are. And the thing is that it's really hard to separate which points in this score are because of its genuine goodness, which it is, versus which points are from the hype, which it also is very hype. But out of the general score, including my score on it, I got it at 86 points out of 100, which I think is going to be right on the money for what it should be at. Now, all that being said, and considering that we did pick up a fair amount of it relatively recently, and that box was empty, maybe, this one was going to be a pass, because although there is nothing better than a late night room service cheeseburger in Paris with some cheddar cheese, excuse my French, as well as with a healthy helping of Blantons, I just don't want to lug it around Europe and bring it back. And also, we got some crazy, crazy good bottles on this trip, which we're going to do a video for a little bit later. So it'll totally make sense then. But Blanton's 108. I think even if we saw it in the U.S., it's going to be a pass. That's a lot of money. All right, next up is another of the Buffalo Trace line that you do see slightly more often than Blanton's, actually quite slightly more often. But at the same time, when it does come out and when it comes out at a good price, like say MSRP or thereabouts, people go crazy for it because it is well worth the value, which is going to be this Eagle Rare 10. Now that I think about it, it's actually pretty rare to see them both in the same place at the same time. And the only time that you do usually see them in the same place at the same time is when they are both overpriced. Case in point, LAX duty free. Now, the Eagle Rare is going to be a little bit more of an entry level Buffalo Trace lines. Yes, there are, of course, going to be like the Buffalo Trace whiskey or the Weller Special Reserve or any of those other kind of beginning level Buffalo Traces. But the one thing that's really amazing about the Eagle Rare, aside from the value, because the price is always amazing on it if you can get it at a reasonable price, is the fact that it has an age statement on it. Because it is, in fact, aged 10 years. Even the Blanton's doesn't have an age statement on it, although I think it's supposed to be 6 to 8 years, somewhere in between there. The Eagle Rare is also from the Buffalo Trace Mash Bill Numero Uno, which is the low rye mash bill, which means that it has less than 10% rye in it. And it also has the same mash bill as some of the other whiskey, so like the Buffalo Trace Standard line, the E.H. Taylors, most of them, as well as the, on the high end, the George T. Stagg or the Stagg Jr., which I think we're all calling Stagg now. The Eagle Rare 10 was introduced in 1975, and again, one of the greatest things about the Eagle Rare 10 that you don't get with the Blantons really is the ability to step up in age if you do like it. So if you like the original Eagle Rare 10, you're like, you know what, I want something that's maybe a bit more mature. There are also the Eagle Rare 17, which are, of course, very difficult to find and also very difficult to afford. The 17 is an amazing option as well, which is part of the B-Tac line. And then if you really are Daddy Warbucks, if you are Scrooge McDuck money, and you have plenty of time to find it, there is the next level up, which is the Eagle Very Rare. Very rare indeed it is, which is at 20 years old. And I don't think that one's actually part of the B-Tac. It's just kind of on its own in its awesome glowing case somewhere. Anyways, as I had mentioned earlier here, the price that we see here at the duty free is not great. And look, I know duty frees are not exactly the place to go bargain hunting for bourbon, but even as far as duty frees go, this is pretty high because we see it at $68, which is basically double the price that we saw at Costco for around $26.99. So even when we got to mainland Europe, we also saw it for $53.09 when we convert that to USD from the euro. So if we did have bought it at the LAX duty free, we would have overpaid for it, at least over the Costco price by $41 or about 60%. I mean, jeez Louise. Now the ABV on it is at 45%, which is really nothing to write home about, as you can see right there. But the nice thing about it is that it is quite well balanced, if not a little thin, but for the price, you know what, it's definitely going to be worth it. The tasting notes on it, including mine, include things like overripe apricots, like the super mushy ones, cinnamon, maple, cloves, sweetness, some oak, and a surprising lack of ABV. I think that's fair. That ABV just sort of gets lost in the melange. The review scores on it, though, are very good. In fact, they are better than what you get on the Blantons. And again, I think that is more a value statement than it is a quality statement for the whiskey at 90 points out of 100, and that includes mine. And again, it is an amazing bourbon for the price. It has a very, very good value on it. But of course, that's only going to be if you can find it at a reasonable price, which is not what we did find it here at the LAX duty free. So it was a pass. And of course, all the other reasons why we didn't get the Blantons at the same time. All right, so that's it for today's Whiskey Wander at the LAX Duty Free. And I really hope that you enjoyed this video. And in fact, I hope you enjoy all of our videos, whether it is the wanders or the hauls or the reviews, the unbottlings, the unboxings, and really all the amazing stuff that we got cooking up for you. And we have tons and tons and tons of stuff cooking up for you. And if you did like it, though, please don't forget to like and subscribe because it really does help the channel to grow, and we are so thankful for that. But also, you know, I like to think that it pleases the whiskey gods. It may lift up your whiskey mojo, and you get notifications when our newest videos come out on Sundays, when our shorts come out kind of randomly, and when our other videos come out sometimes in between. All right, now, just remember, if you do find a whiskey that you love, just buy it. Because if you don't, somebody else surely will. Maybe not in this case, but it might even be me. All right, everybody, have a great rest of your week. I'm out, and adios.